What's up, everybody? Welcome to this Friday edition of Bulls Latest here. Your host, Matt Johnson. I want to kick off today's show with some free agent targets in the remaining pool of free agents that could be enticing to the Bulls. I was just going to run through the top five guys I think could offer some intrigue for this Bulls organization, starting with number one, Delano Banton. At 6'8", Banton has the size and length to be a defensive pest against opposing guards, along with the versatility to fill in at the wing. He's coming off a very solid season in Portland with the Blazers, where he showed his ability to contribute off the bench as a secondary playmaker and defender. After joining the Blazers at the 2023-24 trade deadline, he took a noticeable steps forward as a scorer. I think this is enticing because the Bulls could use another scorer and a guy who could give them valuable minutes and scoring off the bench there. He averaged 10.3 points per game with the team that year. Still just 25 years old, Banton's youth and versatility would be valuable in camp, giving the Bulls another big guard behind Josh Giddey who can defend multiple positions and push the pace in transition. So that's the first name of the five I wanted to go over. The second guy being Lonnie Walker IV. Lonnie Walker IV has built a reputation as an instant scoring punch off the bench in his NBA career thus far. Last season, he spent the final fourth of the year with the Sixers after a stint overseas to sharpen his game. So this guy has definitely gotten better since he came back to the States from playing overseas, and he quickly made an impact with the Sixers by averaging 12.4 points a game to go along with 3.2 rebounds a game and 2.5 assists per contest there. The concern with Walker has always been his efficiency and his decision making, so those are definitely some red flags with this player. He shot just 42% from the field. Still, if you're the Bulls, I think you could always use more scoring depth on the wing, and Walker's ability to create his own shot make him a name worth considering for training camp coming up here. The third name I have on this list of the five guys is Marjan Beauchamp. Still only 24 years old. Marjan Beauchamp has a real opportunity to prove himself. In his first 3 years, he's already spent time with the Bucks, the Clippers, and the Knicks, who are all contending teams in which minutes were hard to come by, as you can imagine for this player. He's a former 24th overall pick with defensive potential and slashing ability. Beauchamp can bring a young and fresh energy to the Bulls training camp and possibly carve out a role in a roster that is built on youth and experience there. Something I've been emphasizing for months here. The Bulls are really molding this roster from experience, but also youthful guys. So I think he fits that mold perfectly. And next, there was a guy, if you guys remember, I talked about a ton way back in the beginning of this show, but Precious Achiuwa. As this show began, I talked about Precious Achiuwa as a guy who could be a solid target for the Bulls. He's still in free agency. He's arguably the most surprising free agent still on the market in my eyes. Last season with the Knicks, he appeared in 57 games, starting in 10 of those games. He stepped in as the primary backup to Karl Anthony Towns while Mitchell Robinson dealt with his slew of injuries as well. He's a strong rebounder, a versatile defender. He can switch across multiple positions, which I think is the most important element to this guy's game, that Billy Donovan would love to utilize a guy like that into his roster and kind of switch him in and out of lineups as he desires there. Achiuwa has proven he can handle a bigger role when needed as well. The Bulls could greatly benefit from his strength, physicality, and presence in the paint, making him one of the more intriguing free agents to consider for camp. So keep an eye on Precious Achiuwa here. I think that's a guy who makes a lot of sense. Rounding out this list, this is a guy I know some of you have expressed a long while ago your desire for the Bulls to go after him, but that's Bol Bol. Bol Bol remains one of the most intriguing wild cards on the free agent market at this moment. At 7'3", he brings guard-like skills and the ability to score at all three levels, creating instant mismatches whenever he's on the floor. This is a player I think is very enticing at his age. The concerns with Bol have revolved around his lack of physicality and his struggles defending stronger NBA bigs at just 220 pounds. He's a huge mean, he's a tree-like figure, but obviously coming in a little skinnier, he has a harder time stacking up against some of these bigger guys. Still, if the Bulls are looking for a high upside gamble in training camp, Bull is the exact player who would give their front court a unique look. And I think he offers a fun option and one that could really be lethal if he's used the right way. And I think Billy Donovan would have a field day with a guy like that within his rotations, able to switch him in and out of lineups. So kind of sticking with the Bulls roster here, I wanted to talk about, as we stand right now on September 12th, the Bulls' biggest roster hole today. In my eyes, that's defensive disruption. The Bulls, if you look at the data and the analytics, were 29th in forcing turnovers last season, and that's ahead of only the lowly Utah Jazz. So not a great mark, not a great spot to be if you're looking at that metric. The Bulls dealt away their steals per game leader in Lonzo, too. He averaged 1.3 steals in just 22.2 minutes a game. The guy replacing him, obviously Isaac Okoro coming over, has never averaged a steal per game. So Chicago will depend more on solid defense rather than disruption there. So if there's some players that you can kind of plug in and kind of snag before, we get underway this season that could offer more of a level of defensive disruption, I think that's something the Bulls, Billy Donovan, and the front office need to take a long, hard look at here. I think that is definitely something that could help this roster out. They have trouble turning over the basketball and kind of collecting turnovers on the defensive side of the ball. So just my thoughts on that and the roster hole that definitely presents itself as we get so close to kicking off yet another season here. I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about, and I dove into him yesterday, Coby White here. In a contract year coming up, this is a huge year for this player. Josh Giddey has been locked up. They did allocate a lot of money towards this player. I think when you look at Coby White, team success could be the kicker if the Bulls want to offer Coby the $25 million or more per season that he's going to want here. I think in a weaker Eastern Conference next year, that could mean, making a legitimate play. If the Bulls want to be serious about winning, but bringing back Vooch, obviously, is going to be here. Isle's going to be here. The Bulls could make a legitimate push towards making some playoff noise. And no, I don't mean just sneaking into the play-in as per usual, as we've all gotten accustomed to in recent years. I'm talking about a top 6 seed, a team that really comes on, a lot of young talent, and kind of makes a push towards being a top 6 seed in the Eastern Conference. Coby White's shooting and scoring are already formidable. We know that, but he can make improvements in other areas to prove his worth as well. One obvious area is playmaking. He's averaged right around 5 assists per game the last 2 seasons, and he can certainly increase that number. He won't have the ball in his hands as much with Josh Giddey around, and as much as Josh Giddey will, but White draws so much attention from defenses with his scoring gravity that he'll have ample playmaking opportunities. That's a part of his game I'm really going to be locked in on this upcoming year. The Bulls are going to have a tough decision to make, and just a day ago I was talking about how they need to bring him back and find a way to make it work to keep that tandem of Josh Giddey and Coby White together, given how successful the trio was this past season. I think when you look at Modest, Coby White, and some of the other young talent, Noah Sangay on this team, they have a lot of pieces that if they glue and they show that they can perform well together, I think that this could be a very exciting bunch. And I think Coby has a lot to prove going into this next season. Now, coming off a career year, a lot of you guys are gonna be like, "That's crazy," but he needs to kind of show why the Bulls should really tie up a ton of money in him moving forward. So. I wanted to wrap up today's show with just a couple of league news notes here. The New York Knicks have brought back a guard and then signed another one. They've brought in free agent guard Malcolm Brogdon. He's agreed to a 1-year deal with the Knicks. They've also brought back guard Landry Shamet on a 1-year deal to return to the team. I think this Knicks team is loaded. I think they're going to be a lot of fun in the Eastern Conference to watch yet again. I think they're going to make a push towards making another NBA Finals appearance here. I think Mike Brown is going to be a very exciting addition at head coach as well, just given his pedigree and what his previous NBA experience offers up there. Kind of wrapping up today's show, some more information came about with the Kawhi Leonard deal and that bizarre situation. There have there has been a Clippers limited partner that has been named as an investor in that company Aspiration, Steve Ballmer's company. That's Dennis J. Wong. He's a Clippers limited partner. He invested $1.99 million in Aspiration 9 days before the company made a $1.75 million payment to Kawhi Leonard. This being given out on a podcast. And I think Dennis J. Wong is a guy who's going to get a lot of heat now in terms of the investigation. I think Steve Ballmer is under a lot of heat. I still can't believe he went on SportsCenter like he did, saying the things that he did. I mean, he's the most random guy I think you can find who makes huge decisions in the NBA. So I just think that it's an interesting situation to follow. We'll see how it shakes out. Kawhi Leonard really hasn't said much in terms of the situation. I really don't expect him to. I think that he is probably doing himself a decent service by staying quiet for now until things kind of get uncovered here in the manner that they are. So we'll continue to follow that. We'll continue to look forward to, we're just a few weeks away from the NBA preseason kicking off. Training camp is literally right around the corner. We'll see if any of those 5 free agents gain any steam in terms of guys the Bulls could target here. I think Precious Achiuwa is a guy I still advocate the Bulls going after, like I did many months ago, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for joining me on yet another episode of Bulls Latest. I hope everyone has a great weekend. Hit that like and subscribe button, goes a long way for the channel, and we will see you guys next week.